Hello everybody and a very warm welcome back. What you're about to hear is a telephone conversation I had with Carol Williams a couple of years ago. I had the great privilege and honor to talk to her about her life story. Who is Carol Williams? Well, Carol Williams is known as the First Lady of Salsoul because she was the first female artist who has been signed to Salsoul. And in 1976, she released her debut album, Lectric Lady, and it was an instant success. It features the song For You, which has been covered and sampled many countless times. In 1979, she released Reflections in Canada on the Quality label, and it's pure disco heaven. Unfortunately, the shift between disco, pop, new wave in the 80s was not so much her thing, and she got a little forgotten. But because of her early disco work, she is known in the vocal house community quite well. So I do hope you enjoy hearing her life story in her own words. Thanks for watching. I'm talking to Carol.
Yes, hi, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How about you?
I'm hanging in there. No, well, are you from the UK or where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Germany.
Oh, from Germany. Oh,
yeah.
My goodness. I remember when I had my first record out, More, I did something for Germany, but I was on Times Square in the city, and they filmed me and sent it over to Germany. And I didn't actually go to Germany, but I did it for Germany. And they did a whole thing with me being on Times Square outside in singing More. I remember that. Good, you made my day.
Oh, thank you very much. So let's start with your beginning. How did you start in music?
I started in music from a very early age. I'd say by the time I was 9 years old, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. My dad actually used to take me out on Sunday outings. We would go fishing, some horseback riding a little bit. And then one time on a Sunday, because we always went out on a Sunday, just him and myself, my mom would stay home, and he took me to the Apollo one Sunday. And I was just mesmerized by hearing the band and seeing the singers and the audience reaction, the lights, everything. That's when I knew right then and there that I wanted to be a performer and an artist. Yep.
Did you have some kind of role model?
No, not really, because I was so young at that age. I liked a lot. Well, I liked Frankie Lyman. I liked, a lot of the songs that were done by groups with a lot of harmony and things like that. The girl group, I think that I saw at the time when I was just 9 years old, it might have been the Chantels that had out the song Maybe. I think it was that, and it was, the dresses and the way they were dressed and the way they sang, and I just loved it. I was, I loved everything. I loved James Brown, Ray Charles, Nancy Wilson, a variety of music, and I have opened up for Ray Charles and for James Brown, so that was definitely a highlight in my life.
That's very impressive. I love Nancy Wilson. I just love her.
Oh, she is amazing. I was, of course, older when I got a chance to see her and go to her show. And her style, her presence on stage, she captivates the audience. She has them right in the palm of her hand. So she's definitely an idol of mine. Also Melba Moore, too. They just have such discipline with the way they handle themselves and everything,
When did you start working in music, like earning money with it?
Well, earning money with it, I was with a girls group as a teenager, but I was still living at home and everything, and we cut a couple of records. Our names were the Pennies. And I didn't really start making any money in it until I was with a girl group called the Gemini. And the reason we called ourselves the Gemini is because I was a Gemini, and one of the other girls, Barbara, was a Gemini. And we called ourselves sisters. The two of them were real sisters, and I just ended up like being the third sister with them because we were so close and we had a lot in common. We ended up getting a record deal with RCA. I was the lead singer. You can hear some of most of my recordings that I did with the Geminis on YouTube. You just put in the Geminis and it'll all pop up. We went overseas. We did a USO tour. And that's when I was actually making money, you know, doing things where we were getting paid as the Geminis, the lead singer as the Geminis. And then after that, I decided to go on my own as a soloist.
And what was your first step as a soloist?
The first time that I went as a soloist is that I got the deal with Salsoul Records.
How did that happen, actually? Because the last single you did with the Geminis was "You Put a Hurt on Me" by 1966.
Yes, You Put a Hurting on Me.
And you also had "Get It On Home" and "Can't Let Go" and "I Hired the Girl," beautiful songs, right. I love, by the way. So
yes.
That was by 1966. Your record deal with Salsoul was by, I think, 1976, around that time. What did you do between these 10 years?
Yes. So in between, you know, getting the record deal with Salsoul and, you know, being with the Geminis, we also there was a song that we did, "No More Tomorrow." A friend of mine told me, which was written by Ashford and Simpson. In fact, they were in the studio with us, teaching us the song. And I reminded Valerie, because I was then Carol Johnson, my maiden name, and we were a group, the Gemini, so she didn't really know me individually until I became Carol Williams. And then I told her, I said, I don't know whether you remember me or not as being with the Geminis, but I was the lead singer. And then she remembered the song and everything, but she didn't realize I was the same person as Carol Williams with Salsoul and Carol Johnson with the Gemini. So so I got the deal with Salsoul, but before I got the deal with Salsoul, I was doing top 40. I was with the band 6 nights a week, singing, top 40 songs, getting paid, with the full band. I think it was 5 or 6 pieces. And we did, other people's songs and everything at that time.
So you were the first female artist to sign officially with Salsoul Records. You were the first.
Yes, that's why they call me first, the Lectric Lady, First Lady of Salsoul. Yes, I was the first artist to sign with Salsoul Records.
So the first song from as far as I have read was that you done with Salsoul was More, which was first an instrumental by Salsoul Orchestra, and you put the vocals on it, or how's the story going on with this?
Actually, when I got with Salsoul, my husband was the band leader for Wilson Pickett's band. So I found out from my husband's Wilson Pickett's road manager, her name was Lee Wade, that a new record company called Salsoul was looking for some artists. They were looking for a girl singer, similar to kind of like Gloria Gaynor, because they were going to do dance music, disco. And I remember I was performing with the Top 40 band at the time. I was way down in South Jersey somewhere, and we were doing like 6 nights a week. And I got the call from Lee Wade, who was Wilson Pickett's manager, road manager, which she knew my husband and she knew me. And she said, listen, they're taking auditions for girl singers, similar to Gloria Gaynor, dance music and everything. And, why don't you go out and try? Why don't you try out for it? Oh, all the way down South Jersey. I says, oh, well, I'm working 6 nights a week. When are they doing the audition? They were doing the audition in the day. So anyway, me and my husband drove up, did the audition. There was a lot of other girls there. And the song that I had to audition was the song on my album, Rattlesnake. And I did it, and I was the one that ended up for them selecting me to do a whole album from that one song. But they also did come to see me in my band, because I also had my own band. Besides the Top 40 band I was working with, I also had my own band with my husband, who was Wilson Pickett's band leader. But I also had my own band. So we performed. Salsoul came down. They saw, my show and everything, and that's when I got signed to an album deal.
You then started to recording Lectric Lady.
Yes.
What do you remember from the recording session? Could you choose the material? And another thing is, I was very impressed because you are one of the only few female singers who has also songwriting credits on the albums.
Yes.
That's not happening very often. I was so surprised when I saw that.
Oh yes, I am a songwriter. And I was, some of the songs that I wrote for, I wrote a couple of things for, after I was with RCA, we also got a deal, I forgot, I had to deal with the Gemini to go on Brunswick Records. And, that record company had the Shy Lights and people like that on there. And the reason we got the deal is I wrote all of the songs for that particular record deal. I wrote a song called The Price of Our Affair, We Can Make It Last, and the other song was Everybody's Talking. And we got the record deal because of my writing ability. We went to Chicago, we recorded it. In fact, one of the girls that we used for the background, I don't know if you know Vicky D, that had This Beat Is Mine. I don't know if you remember that song. Mm-hmm. But I used her for background, and we did record everything. But then our record deal, they never put out what we had did. And we were in Chicago recording it. I have it on tape, on reel-to-reel tape, what we did, but I don't have it actually, where they put the vinyl out and put the record out, because they never actually put it out. But I consider myself as a songwriter, definitely. Yeah. So when I got with Salsoul, I was originally supposed to have Floyd, which was Lolita Holloway's. He was supposed to be my producer. And Lolita and Floyd lived in Chicago. I lived here in New York, and they didn't like to fly. Lolita didn't like to fly, and neither did Floyd. So it was taking so long after I signed my contract with Salsoul. It was taking them so long for Floyd to come and work on the album, and so they ended up putting me with Vince Montana Jr.
Are you happy about that decision?
Yes, I was. I was looking forward to working with Floyd before they put me with Vince, because me and Lolita were very good friends, and and I knew her husband and everything. We, they would come here and spend the night at my house and everything. So we were very good friends. So I was really looking forward to working with him. And I loved the things that he was doing with Lolita, before she actually signed with Salsoul. Her husband, Floyd, had done some things with her. So I was looking forward to it. But then it got to the point where, I can't wait any longer for, them to be coming and driving here to New York and not flying and everything. So I was fine with Vince because I loved the stuff that Vince was doing. And I just said, well, how the music is. It's like think you're going down one road and you go to the next road. So I was, by the time, they put me with Vince and everything, I was very happy to work with Vince.
What do you remember from the recording session? So special memory you have?
What I really remember is because I was doing the album, me and Vince had to work together to figure out what songs we were going to do. So I submitted some of the songs that I wrote, like You're So Much a Part of Me, I wrote. I could play piano a little bit, so I let Vince hear something that I wrote on, what is the name of the song on the album? I got to look on the album and tell you what song it was. But Vince was very, very easy to work with. He listened to some of my songs. I wanted to do a slow song in the album. He went along with that. And he was just great to work with. So actually, I ended up getting like 3 songs that I wrote on the album.
Yeah, there was My Time of Need, Come Back, and You're So
My
Much...
Time of Need, Come Back, and You're So Much a Part of Me.
Yeah.
Yes, you definitely know. Yes, that's what I couldn't remember. My Time of Need, yes.
The album came out, was very successful. So why did you part ways with Salsoul, which was a blockbuster label by the end of the 70s?
I think the fact of my writing ability, Vince and I had to, we had to really get some of our songs and some of the songs he wrote, some of the songs I wrote. We had to really fight to get it on the album because a lot of the companies, they want the publishing, they want some of the writing, and even though, I was signed as a single artist for the first or second time, because I had been with RCA in a group, but then as a single artist, it kind of told that, sometimes you got to give up something and give up a little bit, to just get in. So I wasn't really happy about the fact that I had to give up publishing and half of the writing and stuff like that. But we ended up doing it in order to get it out there. So we actually parted because at that time I was very creative with my writing. And I wanted to do other things. I had my band at the time because of the success of the Lectric Lady album. I always had my band even before I had signed with them. So we were able to perform a lot in Canada and different places we were going because of the album. And so I felt that I wanted to basically be more involved in my projects. So that's when I parted ways with Salsoul and ended up with my second album, which is called, what is the second album?
Reflection of Carol Williams.
What is it?
Reflections of Carol Williams.
I'm telling you, and I'm looking right at the album here now, Reflections of Carol Williams. Yeah, I wanted to be a little more involved in the production. I wanted my band to be able to be the musicians on the records, on the recording, because I felt that, they played all of my stuff when we performed. Why shouldn't they be a part of being on the musicians on the recording? So it was basically, my writing, which I wrote every song on that album, on the second album, Reflection, and giving my band, a chance to record, to record with me in the studio. And then my husband, he wrote all the arrangements and everything. He did all the arrangements, and we wrote a couple of songs together. So it was more or less, me coming and blossoming out as everything, not just the artist, but very much involved in my project.
But why a Canadian label?
When we finished everything, Tony Ballard, he was actually the producer that was helping us with the, with getting everything out. So when we finished that album, I didn't have a record label. I didn't have a record label at all. When we finished it, I had to shop around to try to get someone to put it out. So we got a Canadian, because I had been up to Canada a lot because of More, and for my first album. So I was known a lot to perform in Canada. So we ended up getting a Canadian label. And then it also, I think it went on Roy B's. I think for down in the United States, it was on Roy B's label. And then up in Canada, it was, what was it, Unidisc? Was it Unidisc?
It was, you had Quality as a label and...
Quality, yes. Quality was the label up there. So that's why, we actually didn't have a label until we finished the project.
So you had to pay for everything up front to get the whole album and everything before you could... Yes. So the record company was not paying it, you paid it yourself.
Right, yeah, I did everything myself with the money and everything. I did. I didn't have a record label at the time when I was doing the album.
But that must have been tremendously expensive, renting studio time, having the engineer, the musicians.
Well, one thing, what we did was, here in my house, which is the house I live in now, we had a rehearsal studio downstairs in my basement. So we very carefully figured out the songs I wrote. I also gave some of my musicians, the ones that did write, I gave them a chance to be involved in some of the writing. So we would rehearse downstairs in the basement in my rehearsal studio. So when we got into the studio, which was Sigma Sounds here in New York, I did Sigma Sounds in Philadelphia when I did the Lectric Lady, but for the Reflections of Carol Williams, that was done in Sigma Sounds here in New York. And I had someone that was a fan of mine, which I definitely want to mention his name. His name is Johnny D. And he always was a fan ever since before I had the record out with More, with Electric Lady, and also before I had Reflection of Carol Williams. And he put up a lot of the money to do the production for me. Yes, he did.
I think that the Reflection of the Carol Williams is the best album ever. And do you know that this is really expensive to get?
Really?
Yeah, you
I didn't know that.
You sometimes have to pay a few $100s to get a copy of it. And there was also a promo album of that record released in Brazil.
Really?
Yeah, and that's really expensive. So everybody wants that record. You can now have it digitally on Amazon, and everybody's having it, My favorite song of yours is Tell the World About Our Love. That's one of my favorites. Yes. But it's absolutely...
I wrote that with my husband, yes.
Yeah, and that's absolutely difficult to get that album.
Really? Do you also know about the album that, let me see, is it the whole, it's a pink vinyl, and it's the big pink vinyl. I'm looking at, let me get it out now. I don't know if it's the whole thing. I forget what I have here. Let me see, this is Tell the World. This is just, it's actually it's a hot pink 12-inch, and it's got Tell the World on one side, and let me see, and it's got Take Your Time on the other side.
Yeah, and it's a maxi disco
single about that?
By Styra Disco, and it's brand new and very hot. If you, it's on the sleeve is saying that this has been released in 1980. There you have the Tell the World with 7 minutes and 49 seconds. Then you have Take Your Time with 4 minutes 50 seconds. And then you have Tell the World as a short version with 3 minutes 44.
Right, right.
That came out in Germany.
Well, I didn't even know about that. That I happened to be doing a gig in Fire Island, which is here in New York, but you have to go. It's like out of the way. You got to go on a boat to go there and everything. And one of the DJs had it. I had never ever seen it before, and I said, "Well, where did you get that? Why is it pink?" Never ever knew it, and he gave me his copy of it. I don't even know where you got it from. Where you could buy it.
Yeah, that was released in Germany in 1980.
That was released in Germany.
Yeah.
What the pink copy?
Yeah.
What? I did not know that.
Yep.
Well, they only did it, but so in other words, it was done in Germany, and they only sent out a certain amount of those records.
So it seems to me, yeah.
Oh my God! Well, I happen to have one. Thank goodness.
Yeah, and it's.
I only have one, but I happen to have that. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Oh my God! I got to get to Germany.
Yeah, hopefully.
I have my girl. I'm a very good friend of Gloria Gaynor's because we at one time had the same manager when we were coming up trying to, do our thing. And I know that they love her over there in Germany and everything. Of course, she's been all over the world and everything, but I never knew that. I would love to try to get to Germany.
I've just seen that there are actually two versions of Tell the World. There's one in pink and one as black vinyl. So it got quite successful.
It's one in pink and one in what kind of vinyl?
Pink vinyl and the other one is black.
Oh, in the black vinyl. Okay. All right. Okay. Well, you made my day today.
Oh, that's brilliant to hear. Thank you so much. So, do you have some unreleased songs which did not make the Reflections album?
I have. In fact, it's amazing that you're asking me. I have songs that are unreleased that's not in the Lectric Lady album. Because I did some other songs too, and we hadn't finished it. It took me about a year to do the Electric Lady with Vince and everything. So we did a couple of other songs, and it didn't. They wanted to hurry up and put the whole album out and everything, so we didn't get a chance to finish some of the things that we did. But I am doing a project where I'm going to have songs that are unreleased that I have recorded, but they were never ever put out before. Then I have some songs that I have that I'll be putting out that I've done recently, because now the rehearsal hall downstairs in the basement is now my studio. I have a studio down there. So I can just, finish up my songs. And in fact, there's a song that I did with, I don't know if you remember, we'll get to that. When I was with Vanguard Records, I did a song called No One Can Do It. And that was my keyboard player I was working with the Top 40 band at the time when I got called in to audition for Salsoul. And I think he's a fantastic writer. I love his writing. And I just recorded a song that he wrote called It's Like the First Time. It's slow because I don't just do disco. I don't do just dance music too. I love all kind of music.
I think you did that with Danny Weiss, and that was released in 1981. No One Can Do It.
Yes, No One Can Do It. Yes. Well, that was written by my keyboard player that was working with me at the time when I was doing the Top 40 band, and when I got called in to do the audition with Salsoul, that was
Barbara Norris and Richard Source.
Norris and Richard Source. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's quite fascinating.
And I have a song. If you go on YouTube, Richard Norris and Barbara wrote a song called My Only Way of Living. It's on YouTube. I'm going to be releasing that too. I'm going to put that out. Somebody had heard it, and they heard a little cassette of it, and they ended up putting it out on YouTube. But I have so many people that have gotten in touch with me and want to put the song out, but I'm going to put it out myself on my album, which I'm getting ready to do that any day where I can get that all together, because it's unreleased stuff that never was out, never had a record, wasn't with a record deal. Some of the stuff that I did with Salsoul that we didn't put on the album. So it's going to be a lot of things that were unreleased, never got onto any of the albums. And I don't know if you're familiar with the song that I did with Tony Ballard. That's the guy that was producing me with Reflection of Carol Williams. I did a song with him. We did a dance song called Love Has Come My Way.
Yep.
Are you okay? So you're familiar with that? Yes. Okay. Yes, I'm going to get everything that I have ever tried to record. If I have to even finish some of it, I'm going to. That's going to be the next project, and I will definitely let you know about it, because it will, it'll be an album.
We talked about Lolita Holloway, and in her last years, she often stated in interviews that she was very unhappy with the sampling situation, that she got sampled many times, and also she wasn't the only artist. There were many artists who said, when I signed my contract, I was in my teenage years sometimes, and the contracts were in the best interest of management and or record label, but never in my interest. I'm selling records like crazy, but I'm not seeing a dime.
Because at that time, when people were sampling your voice and everything and doing all of that, they just took it and they didn't, and it is your voice. I mean, it really isn't fair.
Did you have the same problems with contract issues? Because you were the one who also had Crider ratings. That's a better position. But most of the writers were just singing the songs and were paid for the recording session, and that's it. And like I said, still today, like considering Moment of Truth, they're selling really a high amount of used vinyl records, but they won't see any money for that.
Right. By the time I did the Reflection of Carol Williams, I was a little more into understanding the business than I was when I was signed to Salsoul. So I had my own publishing company, and I'm with ASCAP as the writer. So I do see my money, because I established that in the very beginning of having my own publishing company, which is Lectric Lady Publishing, and having the ASCAP writing credit. So I do see my money.
That's great, because many don't, and they end up in very bad situations. So what's your favorite song from each album?
Okay, let me see. Let me just going back from the Gemini, although people don't know that I'm Carol Williams from the Gemini, but from the Gemini's record, I would have to say No More Tomorrows. And then from the Lectric Lady album, I think my favorite is, let me see I got to look at it's a slow song. It's a slow song. Can't remember what the name of it is. I got to look at the album. Where could I remember the name of it? Because I did. Let me tell you which one it is. This time, maybe the last time. That's my favorite. And Vince loved that too. Vince loved making the arrangements and doing the strings and everything to it. He liked that. He liked that the best.
So, you never quite stopped making music, because there were always some single releases like Can't Get Away From Love, You've Reached the Bottom Line, What's the Deal, Queen of Hearts. There was constantly stuff in the 80s. So what happened after the Reflections album, which I think I love the album. So what happened after the album release? You never made a whole album in the 80s.
I did make, and by the way, for the Reflections of Carol Williams, the best song that I love on that album is He's My Man. Did you notice it's the slow ones?
Yeah.
Yes, and then after that, then I went to Vanguard and had No One Can Do It, No One Can Do It, Can't Get Away, which was, I couldn't believe I was really surprised we Can't Get Away. I really was. I did not think that would do as well as it did. Let me see. And then there was We Reached the Bottom Line. And then I did What's the Deal? And those were the ones that I did like with Vanguard.
Mm-hmm.
And my favorite of all of those is What's the Deal?
This was for New Image Records.
Yes, What's the Deal was for New Image, yes. Yes.
And your last single release was Queen of Hearts by 1987. And then suddenly everything stopped. So there were no new music. So what happened in between then?
At that time, it was like I was really doing like singles and going into the studio and doing singles and not really albums or anything, just a single deal that, I think Profile picked up Queen of Hearts. I know What's the Deal was also picked up in the UK by a record company. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was Jive Record and What's the Deal. And so I was still doing music, but I was doing still performing with my band, but not really doing anything as far as trying to get a record deal, because it was just at that time it was more difficult to try to get, let's see, a record deal with a whole album, to just do an album instead of doing like something like singles and things like that.
Mm.
But I was still performing, still, doing, still always performing with the band and everything, and doing my gigs and stuff. I went over to Paris and performed, and from the stuff that I had, and I've never performed in the UK though, never.
That's pretty strange, but you should go over there, because people in the UK, they love soul and disco music from the 70s.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've been asked to go, and in fact, I was asked to go in, I think, 2019, and something happened with the promoter or whatever, but I have been in contact with people over there, and then because of the COVID, that just squashed a lot of stuff.
What's your opinion on today's music?
Oh boy, today's music, there's some of it that I like. But I like harmony, I like good melodies. There's some songs that I do like. I love Bruno Mars. I think he captures a lot of the music that's like back in the day. I mean, when he did that thing like James Brown, I love that. I love his music. I like some of the stuff that Chris Brown does. Not all, but some of it. And I loved Biggie, because I think I like Biggie because he would take something back in the day and then he would rap to it. So I was familiar with the music that he was taking songs from, and then he would rap to it. Yes, I like that type of. I liked what he was doing, definitely. And then of course I liked the girls that were that did what's the name of that group? Don't Go Chasing Waterfalls.
TLC.
What's the name of that group?
TLC.
Yes, I love them. I love their music. Yes, I like Al Jarreau, Lou Rawls, stuff like that. Everything that Teddy Pendergrass does, and all of that. Gene Carn, Melba, people, yeah. Also, I liked. I had 2 records out on Atlantic Records. I think it was called Echo at the time, but it was Atlantic. The first one was called One More Time that I did, that was out, and then I did on the other side, Gotta Catch the Sun, which was a song that Phyllis Hyman had did in the studio in Pittsburgh, and they let me hear it, and they wanted me, so I did the track over again, and it's called Gotta Catch the Sun, and the other side is One More Time. I did those 2 records for Atlantic Records. And that was after after I was with Vanguard and everything, that I did those 2 songs. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but if you put those songs in, that'll pop up on YouTube.
We're all very thankful for YouTube.
Yes, thank God that, because I forget some of the things, I don't really have it, on do I have the record of it? I do have the record of it, yeah. But, I mean, it's just so easy to just go on YouTube and you hear all of that kind of stuff. And then a lot of things I was doing, a lot of recordings, too, I was on background, like Vicky T's This Beat Is Mine, Sharon Red, Never Give You Up. That's me and Carol Douglas doing that. Me and Carol Douglas are Kamiko, if you remember a song called, how did that song go? What's the name of that song we did? I can't remember this song.
No problem.
I can't remember that song right now, but if you go on YouTube, it'll come up, Kamiko. And a lot of people didn't know that was Carol Douglas and myself, because at that time, that's when Jocelyn Brown was doing like Inner Life. She was Inner Life. And then she was also Jocelyn Brown on some of the labels, and she was Inner Life when she did One Night Love Affair. Mm. So a lot of people were doing things, not saying who they were at that time.
Mm. Yeah, they had, I think for the record, for One Night Love Affair, they had a model on the cover, and everybody thought the model was it, but it was Jocelyn Brown. And she sang on so many records.
Many records. And she and you couldn't, she just, Inner Life, everybody thought Inner Life was a girls group. Mm. They didn't know it was just Jocelyn. They just thought it was a girls group.
Yeah, and she did a great version of Ain't No Mountain.
Oh, she did a fantastic version.
Yeah, it's my favorite. I even preferred over Diana's version, I have to say, if I'm honestly.
Oh yes, me too. She just turned it around and did it completely different. Yeah. And she just gave it. I mean, Diane's version is nice, but Jocelyn Brown is the one over Diane's version to me.
And Larry Levan did an outstanding remix on this version. So when I heard about that, it was always said, "Oh, don't touch that song; it's a holy grail." And she did touch it and make it even better. It's even outstanding.
Better, yes. Well, see, that's the thing. If you can take something and not try to do it exactly like how the artist did it, just like when Whitney Houston did "I'm Every Woman." She basically kept it similar to how Chaka Khan did it. She really didn't give it too much of a difference, And she did a great job. But there's a girl where my son is at in Las Vegas, and she's coming out with "I'm Every Woman." She owns it. She does it like how Jocelyn just took Diane's song and did it differently, and this girl is doing it differently. You know it's Chaka, it was Whitney, but she's putting her own thing in it. And my son is the one that's doing the all of the music and everything. And it's real. I was very impressed with the way she did it.
You must have met a lot of talented people. Are there any special ones you want to mention?
Yes, I've been to, well, I opened up for Ray Charles. I opened up for James Brown. I've opened up for Dizzy Gillespie. I love working when Salsoul had a reunion, maybe about 4 or 5 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, where we performed out in New York, but it was outside, and it was double exposure. First Choice, Joe Bataan, myself, and there was another group, and I can't remember the name of that group right now. But at that time, Lolita couldn't do it because Lolita had passed away already. But I have to say that she's one of my closest best friends, Lolita Holloway. Love the way she sings. She's one of a kind. I want to mention Melba Moore, of course, because she's very. I love her. Her style of singing and everything. There's so many people, and it's just great to be on some of the shows that, with the France Jolie. She's another artist that I love what she does. And Hal Melvin and the Blue Notes. It's a lot of people because, when we do these shows, we're doing them and getting back together, and we're still trying to hang in there with each other and give each other support,
Mm.
But those are the few of Gloria Gaynor, definitely. So those are the few of the people that, I hold dear to my heart.
That's beautiful to hear after all these years, being brought together by a record label, and that's phenomenal. It's really great.
Right, Ladies of Sky, they're great to work with. Just really, and they were on Salsoul, they were on with Salsoul at the time. So when we did that reunion, it was really so great because we all got a chance to, be out there and see each other and just go back to the times of when we first kind of got started,
Yeah. And then you're looking back and said, if I maybe had done something differently, it would be different today. But it still was a great time, especially for music.
Yes, it was. It was. I wouldn't change anything.
Yeah.
Wouldn't change everything. So many great songs, and the people. So many different songs and everything.
What's your best memory during the years in the business?
My best memory. Okay, let me see. Oh gosh. God, that's a good one. My best memory. I have to say, when I went to Westbury Music Festival, I had been there to see so many people. I've seen Will Downing there. I've seen Levert, all kind of shows. Never did I dream that I would be at Westbury as Carol Williams, and I did. And that's on YouTube. You can see that when I was there. I'd have to say that, and the reason I say that is because I was there in 2000. I think it was maybe 15 or 16. And then for 2019, my son was there with his group, the 70s band. Full orchestra, full strings and everything and the whole thing. And to realize that he's there on the same stage that I was a few years ago, I'd have to say that's the most that I am proud of being at Westbury Music Fair. And having my son also, like 2 or 3 years later, absolutely be there on stage. That stands out in my mind, yes.
That's beautiful. Is there a question you always wanted to be asked and never been asked?
That's a good question. Is there a question that I've never been asked? I gotta think. Let me think. I think the question that I would say is, if someone asked me, what does being in music mean to me? What are my feelings about it? Did I make the right choice in doing this? And I mean, I've done other things in my life, while trying to make it. I've worked jobs and different things and stuff. But I'd have to say, what would be something that I would want someone to ask me is, what was it about the music? What was it about the music that I chose, or why did I want to be in music? And my answer to that would be, I just always was singing. I had a cousin that always was with me, and she says, "Do you ever stop singing? Do you ever stop singing?" I was always singing, humming something, as a little girl, and the music just makes you. I love so many people's other music, I love like a Nancy Wilson, and I love what's her name that sings? I can't think of her name right now either. And I love that. And the reason I think that I appreciate some of these singers, Whitney, Chaka Khan, Sarah Vaughan, who we're talking about even back in the days when I was little, I would listen to jazz singers and all different kind of singers, Lou Rawls and everything. And I think because it just makes you feel good. It just makes you feel good when you hear a singer have feeling in their voice, and you can almost picture what they're singing about. And that's what I love. I'm still like that to today. I hear something on the radio or something that really touches me. I have a granddaughter who's 17 years old, and of course, when we get in the car, she's turning on the station she likes to listen to, and I'll say to her, "Who's that? Who's that singing?" And she said, "Oh, that's Pop Smoke." And I said, "Oh, he definitely has a sound. I hear his sound. I hear what he's talking about. Kind of, they consider him as a track singer, kind of, where they kind of sing song and do the rapping. But I loved Michael Jackson. I loved Prince. Just so many people so many talented people."
Do you have a message for your fans in Germany?
Oh, my God. Well, tell them that I am looking forward to seeing and trying to get over there after all these years, and that I appreciate any and everybody that knows about me or has bought my records or tried to get my records. I am so delighted to hear that I do have fans there, and I just wish I had been able to be there years ago. But I'll get there. I will definitely get there. So you tell all of my fans that I have there that they will see me. God, if God is willing, they will see me. I will make it a way to get there. I'll find who's ever booking or whatever to get over there. And thank you so much, Nadine, for sticking up for 2 years trying to do an interview with me, because that says a lot about you, and I appreciate you. And I hope to get over there to see you.
Yeah,
but I have to commend you for your endurance on trying to still do the interview and get with me after all these years. You're amazing. So I have to get over there and give you a hug.
Thank you very much.
All right, then.
Okay.
You have a wonderful day, and thank you so much. You made my day.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate your words. Thank you.